The emergency broadcast cut through every television, radio, and digital device on Earth. Panic spread quickly as people learned about the alien fleet approaching their world. In cities across the globe, some people ran to stores for supplies, while others stood in stunned silence looking up at the sky. Inside the Mountain Command Center, Admiral Catherine Blackwood called the meeting to order. The room was filled with Earth's top military leaders, scientists, and strategists. Everyone looked tired and worried. "We have less than 90 hours before the Vraxian fleet reaches Earth," she said, her voice steady despite the fear she felt. "I need options, and I need them now." Commander Jack Davidson stood up. His uniform was wrinkled, and his reputation was controversial. 6 months ago, he had been demoted for ignoring orders during a training exercise, but many believed he was a tactical genius. "Traditional defense won't work," Davidson said, pointing to the holographic display of the alien fleet. "Even if we had 1,000 more ships, we would still lose in a direct battle." Admiral Blackwood nodded. "What do you suggest, Commander?" "Need to think like the smaller force we are. Throughout history, outnumbered forces have won by using the unexpected. We have to use what the aliens don't know about us against them." On the other side of the table, Dr. Natalie Quinn raised her hand. She was Earth's leading expert on alien biology, having studied the ruins on Mars for years. "I've been analyzing the data from the Defiant," she said. "These Vraxians have a complex ship communication system that seems to rely on specific frequencies. If we could disrupt those frequencies, we could break their coordination," finished Science Officer Alan Martinez, who had survived the Defiant attack. "That's brilliant." Admiral Blackwood turned to the group. "I want 3 teams. Davidson, you'll lead tactical planning. Dr. Quinn, focus on finding any biological or technological weaknesses. Martinez, work with our engineers to develop countermeasures based on the Defiant's data." As the groups began to form, Blackwood added, "And I want Protocol Omega fully activated within 12 hours. Several of the military officers looked surprised. "Protocol Omega hasn't been tested in real conditions," one general protested. "And I hope we never have to test it again after this," Blackwood replied firmly. "But right now, those secret weapons may be our only chance." In a hidden facility beneath the Pacific Ocean, Lieutenant Ryan Parker watched as his Special Forces team prepared their equipment. They had been pulled from missions around the world and brought here without explanation. Now finally they were learning why. "Your mission will be unlike anything you've trained for," Commander Davidson explained, standing before the assembled group. "You will be boarding an alien vessel to gather intelligence and potentially sabotage their command systems." The room grew quiet as the soldiers processed this information. Parker looked at the other team members chosen for this mission. Dr. Lisa Chen, a physicist who specialized in experimental propulsion, Chief Engineer Sam Rodriguez, who could make any weapon, system work better than it was designed to, and Security Specialist Grace Williams, the best infiltration expert in the service. "How exactly are we supposed to board an alien ship?" Williams asked, saying what everyone was thinking. Davidson nodded to Dr. Chen, who stepped forward. "We've been developing stealth technology based on the Mars ruins. The prototype ship Shadow Dancer can approach undetected if we time it right." "And if we don't time it right?" Rodriguez asked. "Then we'll all die," Davidson said simply. "But if we do nothing, Earth dies." Questions? No one spoke. "Good. Training starts now. We have simulations based on what we know about Vraxian ship layouts. It's not much, but it's all we have." Across Earth, factories changed their production lines to create the specialized equipment needed for Davidson's plan. Civilian volunteers worked alongside military personnel. The whole planet was preparing for war. In his private office, Captain Eric Summers watched the news reports. The loss of his ship and crew weighed heavily on him. A soft knock at the door interrupted his thoughts. "Enter," he called. Admiral Blackwood walked in. "We need you, Eric." "For what?" "I lost my ship. I failed at first contact." "No one could have succeeded at that first contact," she said firmly. "The Vraxians came looking for conquest, not peace. But you brought back data that might save us all. And now I need you to command again." Eric looked up. "Another ship?" "A fleet," A small one, but it will play a crucial role in our defense. What role? Blackwood's expression was grim. Bait. In lunar orbit, hidden bases that had never appeared on any public map suddenly came alive with activity. Ships that didn't officially exist moved into position. On Earth, orbital defense platforms disguised as communication satellites prepared their weapon systems. In the Mountain Command Center, Dr. Quinn worked tirelessly with her team, analyzing everything known about the Vraxians. Their eyes, she said suddenly, pointing to enhanced images from the Defiant's brief encounter. Look at how they react to the flash of our weapons. Martinez leaned closer to the screen. The pupils contract more than they should. Exactly. I believe they might be more sensitive to certain light frequencies than humans are. That could be useful. Aboard the Vraxian mothership, Admiral Xorn received the human response to his ultimatum. He played the message for his officers. Greetings, said a human in a blue uniform. We are afraid of your great ships. Please give us more time to prepare our surrender. The translation was imperfect, but the meaning seemed clear. The humans were stalling. Pathetic, Sub-Commander, Vrex commented. They cannot even face their end with dignity. Xorn wasn't so sure. Something about the message felt wrong. Increase scan frequency. I want to know exactly what they're doing with this extra time they've requested. It doesn't matter what they do, Vrex said confidently. Our fleet outnumbers. Theirs 100 to 1. Never underestimate a cornered enemy, Xorn replied. That is how empires fall. On the training deck of the hidden facility, Lieutenant Parker and his team ran through the simulation for the 20th time. They moved through the virtual Vraxian ship, their movements becoming smoother with each attempt. Time? Parker asked, as they reached the simulated command center. 11 minutes, 40 seconds, Rodriguez reported. Better, but still not good enough. Again, Parker ordered. We need to get it under 10 minutes. As they reset the simulation, Dr. Chen approached. Parker. The problem is in Section 3. If we split up there— No splitting up, Parker interrupted. We stay together. But the math says— I don't care what the math says. I've lost teammates before by splitting up. It's not happening again. Chen looked like she wanted to argue, but nodded instead. Then we need another approach, let me think. Williams joined them, wiping sweat from her forehead. I might have an idea. Those maintenance ducts we've been avoiding, what if we use them instead? Parker considered this. They're tight spaces. If we get caught there— We won't get caught, Williams said with confidence. Trust me, I've crawled through tighter spots. Parker looked at his team, each person bringing unique skills to an impossible mission. Maybe, just maybe, they had a chance. Let's try it, he decided. From the beginning, as Earth prepared for the fight of its existence, the Vraxian fleet continued its approach, destroying the small human outposts on Pluto and Neptune with terrifying ease. The countdown to invasion had begun. Admiral Xorn stood on the command deck of the massive Vraxian mothership, his forearms clasped behind his back as he stared at the view screen. The blue-green planet looked so small and insignificant from this distance. His fleet of over 10,000 warships surrounded him, each vessel a testament to Vraxian military might. The armada stretched out in all directions, blocking the stars with their hulking silhouettes. Report, Xorn ordered, his voice a low rumble that echoed across the silent bridge. His second-in-command, Sub-Commander Vrex, stepped forward. The third planet shows signs of primitive technology, Admiral. They have basic spacecraft, rudimentary energy weapons, and limited off-world colonies on their moon and the fourth planet. Xorn made a dismissive gesture with his lower left arm. Another simple conquest for the glory of Emperor Castrix. The energy signatures we detected? Unusual, but not concerning. They appear to be experimenting with atom-splitting technology. Nothing that could threaten our fleet. The Admiral nodded. 17 star systems had fallen to the Vraxian Empire in the last cycle. This would be the 18th, hardly worth noting in the grand history of their conquests. Begin standard approach pattern. Alert me when their leaders attempt to communicate. Captain Eric Summers walked briskly through the corridors of the USS Defiant, nodding to crew members as he passed. The Defiant was not a large vessel by Earth standards, but it was one of the newest in the fleet, outfitted for deep space exploration and first contact situations. Not that anyone expected first contact to happen during a routine patrol of the outer solar system. "Captain, to the bridge," came the urgent voice over the intercom. Eric quickened his pace, feeling the familiar knot of tension form in his stomach. That was Olivia Wells, his communications officer, and she never used that tone unless something was very wrong. When he arrived on the bridge, the crew was frozen in place, all eyes fixed on the main view screen. "My God," Eric whispered. The screen showed what looked like a solid wall of metal stretching as far as the sensors could detect. Ships. Thousands of ships, maybe more. "Report," he managed, dropping into his command chair. Science Officer Alan Martinez looked up from his station, his face pale. "Captain, we're detecting over 10,000 vessels unlike anything in our database. They appeared suddenly at the edge of our sensor range. Their energy signatures suggest they're using some form of faster-than-light technology we've never seen before." "Hostile actions?" Eric asked. "None yet. They appear to be holding position just beyond Neptune's orbit." Communications Officer Olivia Wells spoke next, her hands moving rapidly over her console. "Sir, I'm picking up transmissions between the vessels. It's nothing like any language or code we've encountered." Eric took a deep breath. This was what the Defiant was built for, but now that the moment had arrived, he felt woefully unprepared. "Send standard greeting package on all frequencies. Follow first contact protocols." "Aye, sir," Olivia replied, initiating the carefully designed message containing basic mathematical sequences, visual representations of humans, and peaceful intentions that Earth's best minds had crafted for this very scenario. Minutes passed. Intense silence as the crew waited for a response. Then Olivia's console lit up. "They're responding, sir." Her excitement was clear but quickly faded as she analyzed the incoming data. "The message is strange. It contains what appear to be mathematical sequences similar to ours, but with variations I don't understand." Alan moved to her station, studying the response. "They might be using a different base number system. Let me try to—" He never finished his sentence. The deck beneath them shuddered violently, throwing crew members from their stations. "What was that?" Eric demanded, pulling himself back into his chair. "Energy weapon," the tactical officer shouted. "They fired on us, sir. Shields at 60%. Eric couldn't believe it. First contact and they were already under attack? "Evasive maneuvers, Lieutenant Wells, send another message. Make it clear we mean no harm." "They're firing again," the tactical officer warned. The second impact was worse than the first. The lights flickered and emergency alarms blared throughout the ship. "Shields down. Hull breach on decks 3 and 4. Emergency bulkheads engaged." In the chaos that followed, Eric made the hardest decision of his career. "All hands abandon ship. Repeat, all hands abandon ship." As evacuation protocols initiated, Alan Martinez grabbed the captain's arm. "Sir, look at their movement patterns." He pointed to his display, showing the alien fleet beginning to spread out in what was clearly a tactical formation. "They're not just attacking us. They're positioning for a full-scale invasion of the solar system." 2 days later, in the emergency command center beneath the Rocky Mountains, Eric stood before Earth's Unified Defense Council, his uniform still stained, with blood from the crew members they couldn't save. "The alien force outnumbers us at least 100 to 1, he concluded, his voice hoarse from hours of debriefing. "The Defiant's data core contains everything we managed to gather before we were forced to abandon ship." Admiral Catherine Blackwood, the silver-haired commander of Earth's defense forces, studied the holographic display showing the approaching alien armada. "And you believe they misinterpreted our greeting as a challenge?" "That's our best guess, Admiral. Either that or they simply don't care about peaceful contact." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Earth had united its military forces decades ago after the discovery of alien ruins on Mars, but they had never faced an actual extraterrestrial threat until now. "How long do we have?" Admiral Blackwood asked. Alan Martinez stepped forward. "At their current speed, they'll reach Earth orbit in approximately 96 hours. Blackwood nodded grimly. Then we have 4 days to prepare for a war unlike anything humanity has ever faced. She turned to a man sitting quietly in the corner, someone Eric didn't recognize. Commander Davidson, I believe this is where your unorthodox strategies might finally prove useful. The man named Davidson stood, his eyes intense as he approached the holographic display. We can't match them ship for ship, he said, studying the alien formations. But we don't need to. A slight smile crossed his face. They think they know what they're facing. Our job is to show them how wrong they are. As emergency alerts began, spreading across the globe, Admiral Blackwood issued her first order of the coming war. Activate Protocol Omega. It's time to show these aliens what humanity is capable of when our backs are against the wall. Across Earth and Luna, hidden installations began powering up, revealing military assets that even most world leaders didn't know existed. On his flagship, Admiral Kazorn received the preliminary assessment of the small vessel they had encountered. Their weapons are primitive, their shields barely worth mentioning, his weapons officer reported. The vessel was destroyed with minimal effort. And the planet's defenses? Kazorn asked. Our scans detect approximately 100 military spacecraft, mostly confined to their planet's orbit. Nothing that could challenge even a fraction of our fleet. Kazorn nodded with satisfaction. Send the standard ultimatum. They have 1 planetary rotation to surrender, or we begin the cleansing. As the message was transmitted, Kazorn allowed himself a moment of pride. Another simple conquest for the Empire. After all, they outnumbered the humans 100 to 1. What could possibly go wrong? The red dust of Mars swirled as Vraxian ships bombarded the human colonies. People ran for shelter, but there were few places to hide. The alien weapons turned buildings to rubble within minutes. In the largest colony, a group of miners and scientists made their final stand. They had converted mining equipment into makeshift weapons, but these were no match for the alien technology. Still, they fought bravely until the end. From his command ship, Admiral Kazorn watched the destruction with cold satisfaction. The resistance on the Red Planet has been eliminated, reported his tactical officer. Any useful intelligence gathered? Kazorn asked. Their technology is primitive, as expected, but they fought with unusual determination. Zorn considered this information. These humans don't surrender easily. Interesting. Subcommander Vrex approached the Admiral's position. We've intercepted more of their communications. They are disorganized and panicking. Their planetary governments are sending contradictory messages. Show me, Zorn ordered. The screen displayed intercepted video feeds from Earth. In one, a human leader called for immediate surrender. In another, a different leader urged fight to the last person. A third showed mass evacuations from coastal cities. They have no unified response, Vrex said with contempt. They will be easy to conquer. Kazorn wasn't convinced. Something about the situation didn't feel right to his experienced military mind. Split the fleet into 4 attack groups, he ordered. We will approach their planet from multiple directions. Is that necessary? We could simply overwhelm them with a direct assault. Do as I command, Kazorn said sharply. Never give an enemy only one target, even a weak enemy. In Earth orbit, Captain Eric Summers stood on the bridge of his new ship, the Valiant. Around him, Earth's defense fleet gathered, just over 100 ships of various sizes and capabilities. All ships report ready, Captain, his new first officer informed him. Eric nodded, trying not to think about how many of these ships and crews would not survive the coming battle. His orders were clear. Engage the Vraxian fleet head-on and hold their attention for as long as possible. Admiral Blackwood is hailing all ships, the communications officer announced. The Admiral's face appeared on the main screen. This is Admiral Blackwood to all Earth Defense Forces. The Vraxian fleet has passed Mars and will reach Earth orbit in approximately 3 hours. They outnumber us significantly, but numbers aren't everything in battle. Each of you knows your role in Operation Counterpunch. Trust your training, trust each other, and remember what we're fighting for. She paused briefly. Blackwood out. Eric turned to his crew. Battle stations, prepare for engagement. Deep beneath the lunar surface, Lieutenant Parker and his strike team boarded the prototype vessel, Shadow Dancer. The ship was unlike any other in Earth's fleet, sleek, black, and designed to be invisible to most scanning technologies. Final. Equipment check, Parker ordered as they settled into their positions. Weapons ready, reported Williams, checking her specialized infiltration gear. Communication systems online, Chen confirmed from her station. Quantum entanglement linked to Earth Command is stable. Engine systems at full capacity, Rodriguez added. The new stealth drive is functioning perfectly. Parker took a deep breath. Mission parameters are clear. We wait for the main fleet engagement to begin, then approach the Vraxian flagship under stealth. Our job is to infiltrate, gather intelligence, and if possible, sabotage their command systems. And if we're discovered? Williams asked. Then we make as much trouble as possible before we go down, Parker replied simply. In the Mountain Command Center, Admiral Blackwood watched as the Vraxian fleet split into 4 massive groups. They're being cautious, Commander Davidson observed. They're not falling for our disorganized communications ploy entirely. No matter, Blackwood replied. The plan works either way. Are the gravity well generators ready? A technician nodded. Yes, Admiral. All 6 are in position and powered up. Once activated, they should prevent the Vraxian ships from using their faster-than-light capabilities within the solar system. And Dr. Quinn's communication disruptors? Ready to deploy on your command, another officer confirmed. Davidson checked his watch. Captain Summers and the fleet should be engaging the first Vraxian attack group in approximately 20 minutes. Blackwood's expression was grim but determined. Then it's time. Send the code to activate all hidden assets. Operation Counterpunch begins now. In cities and towns across Earth, civilians watched news reports of the approaching battle with fear and hope. Many had been evacuated to underground shelters. Others had joined hastily formed militia units, preparing to defend their homes if the aliens reached the surface. In one small town, an old man taught younger volunteers how to use hunting rifles. Aim steady, breathe slow, he instructed. If they get past our ships and soldiers, we'll be the last line. A young woman among the volunteers looked up at the sky. Do you think we have any chance at all? There are so many of them. The old man followed her gaze. Throughout history, invaders have always made the same mistake. They think having more soldiers or more weapons guarantees victory. But it's not always about how many you have. It's about how you use what you've got. In space, Earth's fleet moved to engage the first Vraxian attack group. From his bridge, Captain Summers watched as the enemy ships approached, hundreds of them against his small force. All ships assume attack formation Delta, he ordered. Remember your training. Hit fast, then reposition. The Earth vessels accelerated toward the much larger alien armada. As expected, the Vraxians began firing immediately, their powerful weapons flashing across the darkness of space. Several Earth ships were hit, some destroyed instantly. But the human vessels didn't fight as the Vraxians expected. Instead of maintaining formation, they scattered in seemingly random patterns, firing from unexpected angles, then quickly changing position again. They're confused by our tactics, Summers noted with grim satisfaction. Continue evasive maneuvers. Keep them focused on us. From the Shadow Dancer, Parker and his team watched the battle unfold. The distraction was working. The Vraxian ships were fully engaged with Earth's fleet. Now, Parker ordered. The stealth ship slipped away from its hiding place behind a lunar crater and moved silently toward the massive Vraxian flagship at the center of their formation. The prototype quantum stealth technology worked perfectly. They passed by enemy vessels without detection. Approaching docking point, Chen reported. Still no sign they've detected us. Williams, you're up, Parker said. The security specialist nodded, studying the exterior scan of the alien ship. I see a maintenance access point at coordinates 227 Mark IV. It's our best entry option. As the Earth fleet continued its desperate battle against overwhelming odds, the Shadow Dancer approached the enormous alien flagship. The small craft was dwarfed by the Vraxian vessel, like a mosquito next to an elephant. Ready infiltration gear, Parker ordered. Remember, we need to reach their command center undetected. What about their internal sensors? Rodriguez asked. According to Martinez's analysis, if we stay within the maintenance tunnels, we should avoid most of their security systems, Chen explained. The shadow dancer carefully aligned with the alien ship's hull. With a soft metallic sound, the docking. Clamps engaged. Parker looked at each member of his team. This is it. Earth is counting on us. As they prepared to enter the alien vessel, elsewhere in the solar system, Earth activated its hidden defenses. The gravity well generators came online, creating a spatial distortion that would prevent the Vraxians from escaping. At the same time, the communication disruptors began broadcasting on the specific frequencies Dr. Quinn had identified, causing confusion in the Vraxian fleet's coordination. On his flagship, Admiral Xorn felt the first stirrings of concern as reports of communication difficulties reached him. Something is not right, he muttered, watching the small human fleet fighting with unexpected effectiveness. These humans are not behaving as expected. Little did he know that the real battle was just beginning. Admiral Xorn stood on the bridge of his flagship as chaos erupted around him. Power fluctuated, making screens flicker on and off. Reports came in of intruders on board, while outside his mighty fleet was falling into disarray. Admiral, our communication network is failing, an officer reported. Ships can't coordinate their attacks. The smaller human vessels are picking off our larger ships one by one, another added. They're too fast and maneuverable to target effectively. Xorn slammed all four of his fists down on the command console. Find those intruders and launch a direct attack on their planet. We will end this now. Sub-Commander Vrex approached cautiously. Admiral, we've located the human infiltrators. They're in the maintenance tunnels on Level 6, Section 12. Send everything we have, stop them at all costs. Parker and his team raced through the alien ship's maintenance tunnels. Williams was bleeding from her arm, but she kept pace with the others. Rodriguez, where are you? Parker called into his communicator. Junction 7, as ordered, came the reply. I've rigged more power disruptions to cover our escape. They rounded a corner and found Rodriguez waiting for them. The way back to our ship is blocked, he reported. Heavy Vraxian presence. We need another route, Parker said, turning to Williams. She studied her digital map, which now showed red dots where Vraxian troops were gathering. There's an alternative path through the ship's waste processing system. It's risky, but it should be less guarded. That's our best option, Parker decided. Lead the way. As they moved, Chen worked with her device. I need to transmit this data to Earth while we still can. Our quantum entanglement link is still active. Do it, Parker ordered. Even if we don't make it out, that information has to reach Admiral Blackwood. Chen activated the transmission. The stolen Vraxian data, containing fleet numbers, weapon specifications, and star charts of the entire alien empire, began flowing back to Earth through the secure quantum link. In the Mountain Command Center, Admiral Blackwood watched as the battle unfolded in space. Despite being vastly outnumbered, Earth's forces were holding their own. The orbital defense platforms continued firing, targeting the Vraxian command ships with devastating precision. Admiral, a communications officer called out. We're receiving a data transmission from the strike team. Display it, Blackwood ordered. The main screen filled with Vraxian star charts, technical specifications, and military intelligence. It was everything they needed to understand their enemy. Send this to all research teams immediately, she ordered. And what's the status of the Artemis system? Ready for activation, Admiral, a technician reported. Stand by. We may need it soon. Commander Davidson studied the tactical display. The Vraxians are preparing a direct assault on Earth. They're desperate. Blackwood's expression was grim. Captain Summers, can you intercept? Through the communication link, Summers replied, We'll try, Admiral, but we've lost half our fleet already. Understood. Do what you can. Inside the Vraxian flagship, Parker's team had reached the waste processing section. The smell was overwhelming, a noxious mix of alien chemicals and organic matter. This way, Williams directed, holding a cloth over her nose. The outer hull access should be just ahead. Suddenly, the ship shook violently, throwing them against the walls. What was that? Rodriguez asked. The battle, Chen answered, checking her device. Earth forces are engaging the flagship directly. They continued forward, moving through narrow pipes and chambers filled with bubbling alien waste. The conditions were disgusting, but at least they were away from the Vraxian patrols. There, Williams pointed to a small hatch ahead. That should lead to an external maintenance port. We can reach the Shadow Dancer from there. As they approached the hatch, alarms blared through the ship once more. A mechanical voice spoke in the alien language which Chen translated. They're preparing to fire all weapons at Earth, she said, her face pale. This is their final attack. On the bridge of the flagship, Admiral Kazorn gave the order. Target their major population centers. Fire everything we have. The massive vessel shuddered as its main weapons charged. Around it, the remaining Vraxian ships that could still receive commands prepared to do the same. Admiral, an officer interrupted. Our targeting systems are malfunctioning. The power fluctuations have affected alignment. Fire anyway, Kazorn commanded. Their planet is large. We will hit something important. On Earth, Admiral Blackwood received the warning. The Vraxians are preparing a massive strike on population centers, she announced. Activate Artemis now. Technicians rushed to comply. Deep beneath the surface at strategic points around the globe, enormous machines powered up. Technology reverse-engineered from the Mars ruins, combined with human innovation. In space, the Vraxian fleet fired. Thousands of energy beams and projectiles sped toward Earth, enough firepower to devastate the planet's surface. But as the weapons approached, a shimmering field appeared around the Earth, the Artemis planetary shield. The alien weapons hit, the shield and dissipated or bounced away, some even reflecting back toward the Vraxian ships. The shield is holding, a technician reported with amazement in her voice. For now, Blackwood replied, but we need to end this battle quickly. Parker and his team reached the external hatch. Through a small viewport, they could see their ship, the Shadow Dancer, still attached to the hull. We made it, Rodriguez said. With relief, Chen was still monitoring the flagship's systems through her device. They're diverting power to weapons again. They're going to make another attempt at Earth. Parker made a quick decision. Change of plans. We need to reach the bridge. The bridge? Williams questioned. That's suicide. If they keep firing at Earth, the Artemis shield will eventually fail, Parker explained. We need to stop them. Here now. Rodriguez nodded slowly. I can rig the power distribution to overload. It would disable their weapons. And I can use their own computer systems against them, Chen added. With the access I have now, I could potentially broadcast the command override codes to the entire fleet. It was incredibly dangerous, but they all knew what was at stake. New objective, Parker decided. We get to the command center and end this fight. Admiral Zorn was preparing for a second attack when the bridge doors slid open. Instead of his officers, 4 humans burst in, weapons raised. How? He began, shocked at their presence. The bridge erupted into chaos as Vraxian officers drew weapons. Parker and Williams engaged them while Rodriguez and Chen ran to the main control systems. In the midst of the firefight, Parker found himself face to face with Admiral Kazorn. The alien was massive, nearly 8 feet tall with 4 powerful arms. But Parker had trained for this, studying Vraxian weaknesses. As they fought, Chen worked frantically at the main console. I'm in their systems, broadcasting override codes now. Throughout the Vraxian fleet, ships suddenly received contradictory commands. Some powered down weapons, others changed course. Many simply stopped responding altogether. Rodriguez completed his sabotage of the power systems. Weapon systems overloading. This ship will lose main power in 30 seconds. Parker ducked under one of Kazorn's swinging arms and delivered a precise strike to a vulnerable spot in the alien's anatomy. The Admiral fell to his knees. It's over, Parker told him, raising his weapon. Call off your fleet. Zorn looked up at the human, then at the tactical displays showing his once mighty armada falling into disarray. How? He asked again. We outnumbered you 100 to 1. Numbers aren't everything, Parker replied. 6 months later, Admiral Kazorn sat in a secure room on Earth. Through a window, he watched as humans launched their first true interstellar fleet, ships built using Vraxian technology captured during the battle. Admiral Blackwood entered the room. "You asked to see me?" Kazorn turned to her. "I have studied your history since my capture. Throughout your past, smaller forces have defeated larger ones through strategy, innovation, and determination." "That's right," Blackwood agreed. "My leaders will not understand how we failed," Kazorn said. "The Vraxian Imperium has always relied on overwhelming force." "Then they'll make the same mistake again," Blackwood replied, "and we'll be ready." As Earth's new fleet departed to seek out the Vraxian Empire, Kazorn watched with a strange mixture of dread and admiration. "You know," he said quietly, "when I report to the Imperium, I will tell them the truth. We outnumbered them 100 to 1. It didn't matter. And now they're coming for you." The inside of the Vraxian flagship was dim and humid. Lieutenant Parker led his team through narrow maintenance tunnels that smelled like metal and something alien, a scent like rotting fruit mixed with chemicals. They moved silently, following the route Williams had mapped out. "2 Vraxian workers ahead," Williams whispered, peering around a corner with a special scope. Parker signaled for the team to stop. They couldn't risk being discovered this early in the mission. "We need to find another way," he said quietly. Williams studied her digital map of the ship. "There's a vertical shaft about 20 meters back. It might connect to another level of maintenance tunnels." They backtracked carefully. The shaft was narrow, barely wide enough for a human to climb through. "I'll go first," Williams offered. "I'm the smallest." She squeezed into the shaft and began climbing upward, using the ridges in the wall as handholds. The others followed one by one, with Rodriguez struggling due to his larger frame. "How much farther to the command center?" Parker asked once they had all reached the upper level. Chen checked their position on her device. "According to Martinez's analysis, we should be 2 levels below it now, but we need to be careful. Security will be tighter the closer we get." "Time check," Parker said. 43 minutes since we boarded," Rodriguez reported. "Earth fleet has been engaging the enemy for almost an hour." Parker nodded grimly. He knew that with each passing minute more human ships were being destroyed. Their diversion wouldn't last forever. "Let's move. We need to find access to their central computer system." In space, the battle raged. Captain Summers watched as another Earth ship exploded, torn apart by Vraxian weapons. "Evasive pattern Omega," he ordered as his own ship shook from a near miss. "All remaining ships continue to focus fire on target points identified by tactical." The human vessels were fighting with everything they had, using maneuvers that seemed chaotic, but were actually carefully planned. They targeted specific points on the Vraxian ships, weak spots identified from the Defiance scans. "Sir," his tactical officer called out, "Admiral Blackwood is signaling the next phase." Summers took a deep breath. "Acknowledge signal. All ships. Initiate Protocol Delta." Across the battlefield, Earth's remaining vessels suddenly changed their attack pattern, herding the Vraxian ships toward a specific region of space. In the mountain command center, Admiral Blackwood stood before the main tactical display. "Status of orbital platforms?" she asked. "All platforms show ready, Admiral," a technician reported. "Awaiting your command." Blackwood nodded. "Reveal and activate all platforms. Target the Vraxian command ships as identified." Across Earth's orbit, hundreds of satellites that had appeared to be ordinary communication equipment suddenly transformed. Hidden weapons systems deployed, revealing their true purpose. Orbital defense platforms that had been disguised for years, waiting for this moment. "Platforms firing now," the technician announced. In space, beams of concentrated energy lanced out from the platforms, striking key Vraxian vessels with pinpoint accuracy. The ships had no time to raise their defensive shields before the attack hit them. On the Vraxian flagship, alarms blared as reports of the surprise attack came in. Admiral Kazorn rushed to the tactical display. "What is happening?" he demanded. "The humans have revealed hidden weapons platforms in orbit around their planet. his tactical officer reported. 4 arms moving rapidly over the controls. Multiple command ships have been hit. Impossible, Subcommander Vrex exclaimed. Our scans showed no such weapons. They concealed them somehow, Xorn said, his mind racing. Order all ships to raise defensive shields to maximum power. Another officer approached. Admiral, we're having difficulty maintaining fleet coordination. Something is disrupting our communication frequencies. Kazorn's eyes narrowed. These humans were proving far more resourceful than expected. And there's more, the officer continued. Our sensors detect an energy distortion throughout the system. Our faster-than-light drives aren't functioning. We're trapped here, Kazorn realized. They planned this. Inside the Vraxian ship, Parker's team had reached a major junction in the maintenance tunnels. Rodriguez examined a panel on the wall. If I'm reading this correctly, this should connect to their main power distribution system, he said. Can you disrupt it? Parker asked. Rodriguez grinned. I can do better than that. I can create power fluctuations throughout the ship. It won't shut them down completely, but it will cause chaos in their systems. Do it, Parker ordered. As Rodriguez worked on the panel, Chen approached Parker. I think I've found what we need, she said quietly. 3 junctions over, there should be an access point to their central computer network. Williams and I will check it out, Parker decided. Rodriguez, you stay here and work on the power systems. Williams and Parker moved carefully through the tunnels, avoiding patrols of Vraxian soldiers responding to the alarms. They found the access point where Chen had indicated. This is it, Williams said, examining the alien technology. But we'll need Chen to make sense of their computer systems. Parker used their secure communication device to contact Chen. We found it. We need you here. On my way, Chen replied. Minutes later, Chen arrived and immediately began working on the access point. Her fingers moved rapidly over her specialized translation device. Their security is complex, she muttered. But there are patterns similar to systems we've studied from the Mars ruins. After tense minutes of work, she looked up with excitement. I'm in. I have access to their central database. Can you download their tactical data? Parker asked. Yes, and more. I'm getting information about the entire Vraxian Empire. Star charts, fleet deployments, colony locations. This was even better than they had hoped. With this information, Earth might have a chance not just to survive this battle, but to prepare for future conflicts with the Vraxians. Download everything you can, Parker ordered. As Chen worked, Rodriguez's voice came through their communicators. Power disruption ready on your mark. Wait for my signal, Parker replied. We need to. He never finished the sentence. The door to the maintenance junction slid open, revealing 3 Vraxian soldiers, each over 7 feet tall with 4 arms holding energy weapons. Intruders, one of them shouted in their alien language. Williams reacted instantly, throwing a flash grenade. The device detonated with blinding light. The Vraxians screamed, their sensitive eyes overwhelmed by the intensity. Rodriguez now, Parker yelled into his communicator as he drew his weapon. Across the ship, Rodriguez activated his sabotage program. Lights flickered throughout the vessel as power surged and dropped in random patterns. In the confusion, Parker and Williams engaged the Vraxian soldiers in close combat. Despite the aliens' size advantage, the humans' specialized training gave them an edge in the confined space. Chen, keep downloading, Parker shouted as he fought. How much longer? 60 seconds, she called back, fingers still moving across her device as she worked through the power fluctuations. Williams took a glancing blow from one of the aliens, a cut opening across her arm. She didn't slow down, using her smaller size to duck under. The Vraxians guard and strike vulnerable points Martinez had identified in their biology. 40 seconds, Chen updated. Parker knew they couldn't stay here long. The noise of the fight would attract more soldiers. Rodriguez, meet us at Junction Point 7, he ordered through his communicator. We're going to need a quick exit. Already, on my way, Rodriguez responded. Download complete, Chen announced triumphantly, securing her device. Move, Parker ordered, throwing another flash grenade to cover their retreat. As they ran through the maintenance tunnels, Alarms continued to blare throughout the Vraxian flagship. Their mission was successful, but now they faced an even more dangerous challenge: escaping alive.